the amount of defamation to my character, due to all the neighbors and everybody around, that they would go knocking door to door, talking about me badly and harassing me repeatedly at work, and just blowing me up when I told them that I would get a hold of them when I had money. But they kept on going and going every day. Like, I was like, what do you want me to do? Rob a bank? Like, I'll get you the money when I have it.
Next is going to be Ms. Eisland, Mr. Straub. Is that you folks? Come on up here and take a seat. So you're asking for a judgment in the amount of over, the jurisdictional limit here is 10,000. So you're asking for, but your position is apparently he owes you a lot more than that. And how is it that he owes you that amount of money?
The defendant lived in our rental for over 3 years, and during that time, he continually got further and further behind. And in the process of us trying to work with him, he ended up owing us over the $10,000 limit. I did put that on there, that it was strictly for rent, utilities, and very minimum late fees, which are actually, we filed in the court, Your Honor, and it shows we kept a very detailed record of the monies that were owed.
Okay, so how much was the rents per month?
His rent, Your Honor, was $1,249, and it was reduced because it did need.
Hang on just a second. How much did he pay each month? Because it's hard. This is kind of confusing. So he would pay like $400, $900, $250, or what exactly? And so what months are missing on the rent?
Okay, if you go ahead and look in the documentation,
I
Your
have
Honor.
it up in front of me.
Okay, it's completely detailed, and even the individuals that he moved in without our knowledge, when we found out about it, they would pay part of the rent to us per the deal they made with him, and we would deduct that. So even if it was the people that he moved in, we gave him credit for any monies that were paid to us, and they were deducted from what his payment should have been during that time of the $1,249 payments. There were times, Your Honor,
so
where.
Hang on just a minute.
Okay.
And when did he move out?
I found out that he had moved out on, I have a text message from him on October 15th. He hadn't given us notice prior, and had even agreed in another text message that he was going to work with another individual to help get caught up on his rent.
And so your position, I see at the total, basically over this tenancy, what was due was $48,150, but he only paid $36,000, and based on missing rent or not paying as much as he should have, basically.
Correct. And all you'll see there, Your Honor, every time someone else paid, one of the people that he'd moved in, we gave him full credit for that, and even took money off.
And I see that where you just paid different. Okay.
Correct.
All right. So let me hear from Mr. Arneson.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hi there. Could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God.
You put your hand down. What's your position on what I just heard? Basically, that you were not paying full rent and other things to the tune of, according to their records, nearly 11,700.
Your Honor, when would be the appropriate time to call for a continuation so that I may gather more information?
That was about an hour and 15 minutes ago.
Okay, because we went to mediation and I tried to resolve the issue and they didn't agree.
Right, that's why we're in trial. That's what happens when you don't agree in mediation, is you go to trial.
Okay. So I have no evidence gathered for this case.
Well, what's your position on, I mean, sometimes there isn't any evidence. Sometimes what they're saying is, one side is saying is completely true. I mean, do you have evidence that you did pay the things that they're saying you did not pay?
Well, there's reasons for me
whether
not
you
paying.
paid or you didn't.
Yes. Right, Your Honor. No, I did not.
You did not pay?
No, and there's reasons for it.
So what would you need a continuance for if you basically were kind of in agreement on what the facts are?
Well, we're in agreement to the rent. The agreements that we made are different than the terms that were originally outlined in our paperwork.
What's your position? Is the tell me about that. How has that changed? Basically, that from what I'm hearing is basically this was just a rental agreement. You weren't up to date on rents, and
Right.
they want to get a judgment in that amount.
Right.
You're saying, yeah,
And
I did rent, but I expect I'm going to hear something, a reason why you shouldn't have had to pay that. And then when I hear that, I'll ask them what their response is to it.
right.
So,
So I moved in and there were a few problems, of course, between, job loss, my car breaking down, several things like that did happen through the period of time that I was renting from them. And they did work with me at first, and help. I told them when I do get money, I'll give it to you, and I would. Um, you know, uh, we worked out basically when I had money, I would give it to them. And it wasn't everything all at once, but I would catch up and then I'd fall behind, and it was just difficult, basically to get back and forth to society from where we lived. That's neither here nor there. I knew that I was moving out in the middle of nowhere, and I did fall behind quite a bit. There were just things that needed to be done. I had to buy a new fridge because one went out. Um, and all my food went bad, so I had to buy more food. That happened, so they fixed it, but the floor was slanted, so the new fridge that they brought in, the motor went out because it was stressed. And then my food went bad again. Just stuff like this would always be happening there. I swore that the place was cursed, but that's neither here nor there again. But I could not get records of my payments from these guys. I kept on asking them. I also asked them to take care of the black mold in the house, and they said I could take care of it, but that I'm not an expert at that. I don't know exactly how to get rid of it all the way. Um, and then moving people in, I did to help me pay rent. Um, and they did agree, but this was all verbal. I should have had it written down so that we could have it legalized, instead of word of mouth. But they did agree to both people being there. Otherwise, I imagine I would have been relinquished from my lease and kicked out, because I broke lease. But they did agree. They did take payment from them. And then later on, they moved in somebody I did not agree to. Um, uh, we had problems with the leases that I had helped move in, due to drug usage and going crazy and grabbing knives. I had to call the police. I wasn't comfortable living there anymore. They wouldn't move them out. And then they moved in another guy recently, and they basically forced my things out without him being on the lease or me agreeing to him, and damaged my property and just piled it up and threw it in one room. That's when I decided I had had enough. Defamation, talking to people that had no business knowing any of my information, and then spreading lies about me, harassing me repeatedly when I said that I would pay them when I had money, but they would show up when unannounced, and basically breaking lease many different times. The renter's agreement. Um, so I don't feel like I owe all of the money. I do believe I owe them money, but not the full amount that they're asking for due to the hardships that I've had to go through just dealing with living there. That's why I moved out. I'm homeless right now currently because it's a better situation to be homeless rather than live there with the things that I was going through. Um, so I did move out, due to this other individual moving himself in and forcefully moving my things out of the places that I was still renting. They informed me that I would still be paying the same amount and that these people would be taking and occupying space that I had originally rented. And that was not our agreement. So I decided to abort mission and leave. And I said, if you want to come after me in court, that's fine, but we can work something out once I get back on my feet. But they decided to take it to court. So here we are, sir.
Um,
And I still don't know how much I owe because they wouldn't give me the records, but now they have them. So
well, there were the exhibits that were submitted, and then they have documentation of all the thing, and according to them, you're about 11,000 into the hole. And so, but they're limited on what they can get here in small claims. The judgment would only be in 10,000.
I understand that, Your Honor. On paper, yes, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I'll come back to you. What's your response to what you heard?
Again, Your Honor, this case is not about any issues as far as any damage that we might have found after we went to look at the rental approximately the 18th of October. This is strictly monies that he owed us for rent, water garbage that he never put in his name during the 3 years he was there, and very minimal late fees that we charged him. He did make several statements in regards to other people being there. We never rented to anyone except for him. He did move other tenants in, including his drug addicted sister, who was underneath the rental smoking drugs and stuff. But anyway, we never agreed to anyone else being moved in until after he'd already done it. Apparently, they were paying him money for rent. So essentially he sublet without our knowledge. The deal we made was that they would pay rent to us and we would deduct it from his monthly fee, giving him all of the credit. I do have on my phone, I do have text messages where on the 15th of October, he said that he had moved out. It was only after that we went to the rental. I do have a message on approximately the 7th of October on my phone, which I can provide, where he said, yeah, he was going to work a deal out with this gentleman by the name of Benji, so that Benji could help him to pay the monies that he owed towards the rent. We never moved anyone else in. The situations regarding the other people that were there, I don't know exactly what happened, but again, we never agreed, and we told him, then you need to move them out. We never put them on the lease in the first place. It's your responsibility. You're the one that brought him into the rental. And unfortunately, he had changed every single one of the locks. We couldn't have access for, over a year. We tried to get access. He would never answer the door and let us in. We did not even get access until I believe it was approximately the 18th or 19th of, and I apologize, Your Honor, I thought I had turned that off. I apologize. Turn my phone off, please. And another thing is, if you look at the addendum to the lease, which I did provide, he was provided with that. He numerous times was provided with the itemized statement that we kept current month to month as to any payments that were made by him or the other people that he sublet to. It clearly says in the addendum to the lease, we were reducing the rent. We reduced it approximately $200 a month because he was going to be, washing the windows and, repainting. And during this over 3-year time, even though we never raised the rent to the original amount, he only painted one bedroom. That's the only thing that ever got done. And again, I've got documentation in regards to all the damage that was done when we actually took possession of the unit, approximately the 18th of October. But that's not even the issue today. The issue is the monies that he owes for
Unpaid
back
rent and utilities.
Correct,
Right.
Your Honor. It has nothing to do with any of the damage that we have documentation to. That would be a separate matter if we were to proceed.
So, Mr. Arneson, I'll give you the final word here.
Yes, Your Honor. I scraped popcorn ceiling halfway through the whole entire house. Also painted two of the bedrooms more than once because of these roommates that they did agree to. They actually knew one personally for ever since she was a little girl in that town. This is why I want to subpoena my cell phone records, because what they agreed to and what they're saying here in court are two different things. Also, talking about damage of property. I left that place pristine compared to how I got it. The back door was damaged by a neighbor. That's all that I can imagine that they're talking about in all reality. But moving this Benji guy into the house was completely their decision. They got together with the roommate that is still there, but they're kicking out also, and conspired to get me moved out by force before they went this legal route. And Benji came and literally took the lock off the door due to another rentee from another property coming in and doing so, which was completely illegal, but that's okay. Um, the cops told me that I should take this to court due to them breaking the lease in several different instances. Um, I had just had enough after that. I thought we had worked out something, and I was going to pay them as soon as I had this job that I have right now. I was going to start making payments again, even after I had moved out. But when they said they're bringing me to court, I said, okay, well, let's go to court then. So I agreed and waited for them to bring me to court, and here we are. They wouldn't give me my amount that I needed records of. I kept on asking and asking, never got it. Now they have it at court. Um, I just believe that due to the stress, defamation, and harassment that I've repeatedly gotten from them, moving people into the house and forcefully moving me out and acting like I moved on my own accord is completely fabricated. They know this Benji guy. They've made this move all on their own. I had nothing. I didn't know this guy from Sam or Adam until he was already in the house and had access to it. I did change all the locks because there was tweaker people coming in my house when I was at work that they had continued to let stay there. I told them that I'm afraid because she's walking around with a knife and screaming in the middle of the night, breaking my sleep. But this was somebody that they knew and cared about. They wanted her there to get sober and just give her a chance to get sober. And all this is in text messages that I really wanted to subpoena my cell phone records for so that I could show this to the court and make a fair and just ruling. But if we don't have time for that, then it's just my word against theirs and paperwork that's been printed up. Beyond that, all I have to say is for the amount of neglect this property has received, and the amount of defamation to my character due to all the neighbors and everybody around, that they would go knocking door to door talking about me badly and harassing me repeatedly at work, and just blowing me up when I told them that I would get a hold of them when I had money. But they kept on going and going every day. Like I was like, "What do you want me to do? Rob a bank? Like I'll get you the money when I have it." And it just got to a point where I had to block them, and I told them I'm moving out. I have damaged properties. I took my time to move all my things as soon as he was coming in and cleaning the place. Unannounced. I had no idea who this character was, but they're outside meeting with him, taking a payment and making agreements with him when I didn't agree to him being there. So I just decided to leave, Your Honor. I don't know this guy. I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's going to steal my stuff or destroy it any more than they already had. So I took my things, I put them into a storage unit, and now I'm living out of my car until I can get the money up to get my own place again. I just didn't want them to do anything more. But yeah, the reason that I did change the locks, Your Honor, and I did change the locks, and they did have access to the key, which is also in cell phone records. I left the copy of the key next door to a person that they also knew for their entire life. She actually helped born her when she was a nurse, supposedly. So my next door neighbor had the key. They're a trusted individual between both parties. She had a key to my house. She knew that. It's not that I wouldn't give her a key or unlock the door. That's all bullcrap. They had full access to my house. The only reason that I wasn't there was because I was at work and I told them where the key was. So all of this stuff is completely fabricated. They're trying to make me look bad. I get it. But in no way, shape, or form is that true. They always had access to the house. I only changed the locks because I was afraid that bad characters had access to my house, because supposedly these two other people that I moved in, one was a drunk and one was on meth, they had lost the keys. As soon as I made them copies, they they lost them. So I changed the locks. And I let the landlords know that that's why I changed the locks. It's not to force them out. That's illegal. I let them have a copy. It was right next door anytime they needed to access my house when I wasn't there. So that's all fabricated, Your Honor. Anyway, that's all I have to say. If they don't want to make mediation, that's fine. I was willing to go that route, but they want to go this route. And I really would like a continuation so I could get these records to prove that they're lying.
Okay, so
Your Honor.
just a minute, ma'am. So the issue there, Mr. Arneson, you know, this is, you talked about a lot of things, but really what this case comes down to is whether or not the rent and utilities were paid or not. That's it. You know, and all this other stuff about changing the locks and, you know, who moved who in, that's not really, you know, relevant or germane to what the issue is. And early on, you know, you didn't seem to dispute that, you know, a lot of the stuff that you were required to pay didn't get paid. And it's been well documented by them that I'm looking here right now that, and they mark each, you know, they go by month, what was supposed to have been paid, what was actually paid, and what was left unpaid. And there doesn't seem to be any real dispute about that. And so based on all of that, based on the documentation that they presented, I am going to find in their favor. Did a service fee did you get a service fee? I didn't see one on there. So, did you have to pay someone to get him served?
I did, but because I was at the limit, I didn't know if that could be added on or not, Your Honor.
Is there a receipt for that? And how much was it?
I don't have one, and that's
Okay.
actually not even a concern at this
All right.
time for us, sir.
So a judgment's going to enter in the amount of $10,000, and then there'll be a $50 filing fee, and the total amount is $10,050. And again, I want to be clear, that's for unpaid rent and unpaid utilities, basically. And that's going to be my decision in this case. And you can get a copy. You can get a copy of it right now since you're here. And Mr. Arneson, you can get a copy of it off the district court website. And there's nothing to stop you from entering some sort of agreement to make payments on that. Otherwise, it'll be, you know, their responsibility, as I said before. I mean, it's just a judgment entered, and that's it.
Right.
So you're free to go, Mr. Arneson. We'll give you a copy of that. Once you get that, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.